Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for this live stream event. Before we begin, I'd like to just review two items. Our code of conduct. So Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and our presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but we ask that you're mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. So today's session is recorded. It will be available on YouTube for on-demand access after the session concludes. I'll share the link for our YouTube channel if you're not familiar in the chat. If you've not been on a live session before, please note that to interact in the chat, you do need to have a account created through YouTube. So if you have one, make sure you're signed in. And if you don't, now would be a good time to get started and create that. So today's session, we are joined once again by Julian and Rory for the second part of a two-part series on hardening Java applications on Azure by using the Zero Trust approach. This session should run for about 45 minutes or so with time for questions. Let me bring my speakers up here on the screen. Just stare by. Here we go. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. Glad to have you for another round.
Hello.
Super excited to do part two. We had some great interest. We have someone joining us from Canada. Welcome, Tim. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm super excited to get started. Here's part two for the Cloud Skills Challenge.
Well, I hope that we didn't shock everyone to the bone when we hacked a password. We've got some interesting tricks that Julian has promised to show me today that I can't wait to see. Yeah, so if you have a Java application running right now, you really want to stay tuned for this session so we can actually see how to secure it. And Julian, you left them a whole week to simmer and to ask questions around that and to go and learn around that. So what are we going to see today?
Well, so yeah, first, if you didn't watch part one, please watch part one, because otherwise it would not make much sense today. Well, we'll try to make them a bit independent, but still it's better to watch part one before watching this. By the way, Rory, did you get hacked after this first session?
Well, luckily, I don't store any Spring applications, production-grade Spring applications on a public network. Most of mine actually are in an ACE v3, and the ACE v3 has a private VNet. And I know that we're going to show some of those systems there. So the ACE v3 is the Application Service Environment version 3. So I'm hoping that you're going to show something similar there, and my applications are safe. So let's show how we can make the sample application that you hacked the database password with also safe.
Yeah, just to summarize a little bit what we did last week. So we took a sample app, well, I mean, an official Microsoft sample application. We added Log4j, so by default, it's not unsecured. It's using a logback, so it doesn't have the Log4 shell security issue. So we migrated it to Log4j, so we got the issue. I acted, honestly, very easily. And then we had a discussion about how to secure it, and there are two ways that you should use together to secure it. So first one was using Key Vault. So last week we had a look at Key Vault. So instead of having our password in clear text, well, inside an environment variable where it's quite easy to grab it, we put it inside Key Vault. So two big interesting points about Key Vault. So first of all, it's more secured. I mean, it's not hanging around in environment variables, but somebody who is clever can still get the password. And second thing about Key Vault is that it enforces the Zero Trust approach. So you could have different people working on the same app. And for example, Rory could manage a database password and could update it. And as a developer, I wouldn't have access to it, or I would have to ask, like, let's say, for temporary access to it. And then Rory could rotate the password. So
you're going to show us today how, you hinted to me before the session, how you as a developer, you shouldn't have access to your Key Vault. And I know that you've got a surprise a little bit later. You're going to show how you're going to let go of your control of your Key Vault, which is really exciting. And I do hope that you get access to that Key Vault again, though. So I think that's the secret that you're going to show today.
Yes. So the second thing, and what we're going to do today, is use a virtual network. So usually when we talk about networking, like everybody runs away because it's super complicated, because we talk about CEDAR, about subnets, and that's very frightening, at least for me. But honestly, what we're going to do isn't that complicated, so you shouldn't be afraid of those. Honestly, you should embrace the complexity. And so you could
have a tool. You have a tool that you wrote yourself that really helps and makes it easier.
So we're going to use NubGen to generate stuff. Then, honestly, if you use the Azure CLI or the portal, you've got defaults which aren't that complicated. So, I mean, if you know networking very well, you can improve everything. But even if you don't know it that well, it's honestly doable, and you should do it because it's much better. And so you can use VNet without Key Vault, Key Vault without VNet, but of course the best thing is to use them together, and that's what we're going to do. Well, let's first discuss about VNets, and then let's have a look at how it works also with Key Vault, and well, let's try to learn some stuff and have fun and have bugs. So first of all, so this is our app. So that's the app we did last week. I've got a specific branch for VNets. So I've already done it. It's here on VNet. If you want to do the same thing as me, it's very easy. If you go to NubGen, so that's what I used last week. I'm doing everything with NubGen. So that's an open source tool that I did, and it can generate your Terraform configuration for you. So if you want VNet,
and that's noobsgen.com.
Yeah,
and that does noobsgen.com.
Noobs in Latin is a cloud. So it's a generator for the cloud. Like Terraform, it's the Earth.
I think it's a newbie. So, because like for me, VNet, I'm very much a newbie when it comes to cloud because it's difficult. So I always thought it was a newbie.
Yeah, well, it's also for newbies. I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. Being new to something is good. I mean, you're learning stuff. It's like, and not everything has got to be hard. And so with NubGen, typically, if you want a VNet in network configuration, instead of having everything public, you put everything in the VNet, and that's all. And that will generate basically what I'm going to do here. And if you want Key Vault, you need to check Key Vault. And then now you got a VNet and Key Vault. Very simple to get the same config as me. Or if you want to read it, you just go to GitHub to my branch, and you will see it is all open source and all available here. Well, let's have a look at the code. I already generated it, and in fact, I already deployed it because it takes like 10 minutes. Not that long, but last week we thought it was a bit annoying to talk during those 10 minutes to deploy. We depend on Azure, so sometimes it's 8 minutes, sometimes it's 12 minutes, so it's not that much enjoyable for you just to wait for the thing to deploy. So I already deployed it. We'll do some more deployment afterwards, but it's already deployed. Let's have a look at the code, and let's have a look at then the deployed solution. It's, I would say, easier to look at the deployed solution than the code. So here is my terminal. Let me open up Visual Studio Code. So if we go to Terraform here, I've got a new Terraform module. Where is it? Virtual Network. So let me open it up. And so that new module is configuring a virtual network. We can see that, so this is the Terraform configuration for the virtual network where we give it some address space. Don't worry too much about that. It's in our resource group, in our location, so nothing very specific. And inside that resource group, I'm going to have several subnets. I've got one subnet for my application. That's this one, the app subnet. And we can see there is some specific configuration. Again, if you use Terraform, this is created for you. If you go to the portal, it's very easy. Well, you can have a look. It's like clicking on a few buttons. It's a bit more complicated if you want to use your Azure CLI, but it's the same idea. With your Azure CLI, you ask for the subnet, and then you add this, which is a bit more complicated, but that's fine. And so we've got a subnet for the app. We've got a subnet for the database. And then we'll see we've got also...
Why do I need a subnet for my database? Can you explain to me why?
So here, what's going to... Oh, let me go to the portal, because here it's... I mean, usually I say that the code is easier to read, but honestly, I prefer to go to the portal to have a more graphical view of what's happening. So this is my resource group. So if you remember from last week we just had an app service, a database, and an app
Can
service
you
plan.
zoom in just a little
Yes.
bit? I am 42 years old, hey, and my eyesight
That's
is
young. That's young. I'm older
yeah.
than you. You know. Is that good for you?
Yeah, much better.
So I've got some new things compared to last week. So let's go in order and first have a look at the VNet, because that's what we were talking about. So if we go to the VNet, if we go to networking, so we can see we've got a VNet with a web app, which is, oh, sorry. Yeah, no, wow. Should we go there? Hang on. Let's start with configuration first, probably.
Yeah, that other screen, you should have actually done it as a
no,
surprise.
sorry, I'm not on the right thing. Hang on, I'm not. Oh, didn't click on the VNet. It's here. Sorry, that's why it was so weird. I was lost. Here it is. So
Address space.
Address space. So those are my IPs. I've got a lot of IPs here available in my VNet, and inside it I've got two subnets, which have less IPs, but still enough IPs to grow and have different scale my apps or my database. So there's one for PostgreSQL, which is here, and one for the application server, which is here. Basically, all you need to do to know is my web app is running here, my database is running here, and as they are in the same network, they see each other. Let's now go to the to the application. It's called too much now. If I go to my application, so everything is the same as before, but I've got this new networking menu. It was there, but it was empty. I've got this networking. Where is it? Networking. Here it is. Network. Oh, sorry. That screen is new. If you've used Azure before, like a few months ago, this screen wasn't there. So that's why
it really helped me, because to understand networking is very difficult when you've got the inbound web app and outbound. And this screen really shows you all of the different tenants and the ingresses and the egresses.
Yeah, so basically, so I'm having a look at Rebecca. We put a comment. Is a demo just for watching? Yes. Basically, we show you the demo. You can try it by yourself because all the code is here. Very easy to test and do it by yourself. But honestly, I mean, last week it was mostly for watching because we were stealing the database password and doing unsecure things. So honestly, don't do it. I mean, you can, but this week it's more interesting to do because it's secured and less risky for you. If you do the unsecured one, don't blame us if you get hacked. I mean, seriously, there are some bots. Some bad hacker groups have created some bots who are scanning the internet. So as soon as you create an app now, you might very quickly have some bots who is trying to see if you are unsecured with Log4Shell. So that's why also the apps that we have, I don't know if you remember, we need to do a specific post action to have the Log4Shell issue. Otherwise, you don't have the issue. So I didn't do it as obvious as just doing a GET request on the root, because otherwise, I mean, it's asking for trouble. It's a bit more complex to hack it. Mostly because of that. Sorry. Just to go back to that screen. So this is my application server, and we can see that it's connected to a VNet. And now let me go to my database. And in my database, if I go to networking, before my database had public access, allowed or IP address. Well, no, sorry, there are two ways. It's either everybody has got access to it, or you've got a specific option in Azure where it's private, but you give access to all Azure services to your database. So the issue is that in Azure, you don't know the IP address that your application server will get, because we've got a huge pool of servers. We have no idea what the IP will be. So we open up the firewall for all the IPs for all of Azure. So it's more secure than public access, but like anybody
that still sounds a little bit unsecure though, because anyone on the Azure network can access my resources.
Yeah, so that's basically all the Azure customers are like anybody. I mean, you just buy a VM on Azure and then you get access to the whole network. So it's a little bit more secure than public access, but it's really not very good. So I don't recommend that at all. And So the issue we had last week is that people would grab your password, and then as basically your database is on the internet, well, they have access to it, and then you're dead. You act immediately. Here, the idea is that, so last week we first tried to secure the password better. Not all use cases, but much better than last time. And also, we're going to lock down the database. So even if somebody gets your login password and everything else, they can't do anything because you're not public. So good luck with that. So this time it's totally private, as we can see. It's VNet integration. So only people inside the VNet have access to my database. And there's only one thing inside the VNet. Well, there are two things. There is Key Vault, but there is my application server. So here my application server has got access to the VNet. So it has got access to the database. And nobody else can access it because it's just locked down, just a network security. Let me go just to the app just to show it's working. So you remember it's by default, it's returning an empty list. So that's probably what we're going to see. But yeah, that's it. So you can see it's running. There's nothing in the database, so it's all empty. Well, we can do some tests and add some stuff, but I mean, not going to add much value to that demo. We know here that our application server connects to the database, return something empty because there's nothing in the database, but it's all working. So here we know the application server sees my database, connects to it, and it's all secured. And if anybody steals my password, well, it can't do anything because the database is secured in a private network and nobody can.
Yes, I understand now. So you've got your database. Really, I'm so used to just putting a database on that wild internet and then connecting to it, and you've got yours in your own VNet and also the application. And well, you're going to show me the Key Vault and how you're going to secure that.
Yeah. Then my issue here is also how do I work with Key Vault? So what I just showed is if you don't use Key Vault. If you use Key Vault, there's one more thing to do is let's also put Key Vault inside the VNet. So nobody can access Key Vault. Otherwise, well, Key Vault has got the same issue. Key Vault is on the internet. Well, you've got a password to access it. Well, you've got a key, of course, but still, it's still accessible through the internet. So here, what we did, it's I put Key Vault inside the virtual network, and don't have a look at IP address here. We'll have a look at it just afterwards. So Key Vault is inside the VNet here. So same thing, my application can access Key Vault. That's what I want. So here, now my application, what it's going to do when it starts up, it goes to Key Vault, reads the database password, connects to the database with the password, and everything works. And if you're a bad hacker, well, you can't access the database at all. And Key Vault, you can see here, I did one thing. That's why it's not only the VNet, but there's like an IP address which I got access to it. I did one exception. Also, there are two exceptions. That I shouldn't have done this one, by the way. Well, let's discuss here those three options. So first one here, Key Vault inside the VNet. So everybody inside the VNet can see it. And if you're not in the VNet, normally you can't see it, except it for two exceptions. First one here is the firewall. I open up an IP address here. That's that's not my IP address. That's the IP address of one GitHub Action agent. So I deployed using GitHub Action. And as I wanted GitHub Action to be able to put some secrets inside Key Vault, I mean, you need to put the secret at some point. So when the GitHub Action ran, it needed to access Key Vault and put the database password inside it. I needed to whitelist this. So here I whitelisted the IP address of the GitHub Action agent. So the GitHub Action could inject some database password here. That should be temporary. I just left it here so we could see. And the exception, so honestly, that's a mistake. Oh, sorry, it's no. I thought it was yes. So it's not a mistake. So sorry, that one is good. Oof. I looked at this too quickly. You can also have some exception for some specific trust in Microsoft services who can bypass the firewall. You can have a look at those. It's like, for example, for logging. I put it no by default. Some people like it because it's easier. Like, for example, for your logs. Honestly, I prefer to lock everything done. So here, we can access my Key Vault, only people in my subnet and one IP address temporarily. We can access it. Let me show how it works. Let me just restart my GitHub action. So that's the GitHub action that deploys everything. And if I run it again, I'm going to have a bug. It's going to be all red, and I'd rather say it before because then people think that
How are you running a GitHub action and then connecting to something in a VNet though? You said you've got a bug, but is that something to do with the bug?
Yes. So what's going to happen here? So that's the GitHub action we used last week, and this GitHub action, well, it does two things. It builds my app, so that's going to work. We didn't touch the app, so it will build, and it's updating the infrastructure using Terraform. What Terraform does, it's going to refresh its state. It's going to see if the Terraform state that it stores locally is the same as the Terraform as the state of our infrastructure in the cloud, and it's going to update it if needed. And that's this thing that's going to fail because, probably, very, very probably, I've had another IP than the one I had when I created my app. So remember, I had that IP here. So that was the IP that we used when the GitHub action ran first. It whitelisted itself, created the infrastructure, and then, we left it here. Now I'm running Terraform again, and we've got one IP which is whitelisted, but we got another agent here, so we got another IP. So this one is not whitelisted. So, so it's failing. What is it saying? Let's have a look. It's saying, so it tried to have a look at my Key Vault database.
No, it shouldn't have access to your Key Vault anymore.
It doesn't have access anymore because, as it says, it's forbidden.
But it's your Key Vault, Julian. I find that ironic that you're the developer and you've lost access to your own resources.
Yes.
And that's zero trust. Okay, so that really is zero trust. You don't even trust yourself because your instance, your PC might be hacked.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Of course, zero trust makes more sense when we are different people. If I'm the only person doing everything, of course, I'm trusting myself usually. But yeah, maybe I'm not trusting my PC. More probably we are a team of people, and I'm just the developer. So you don't trust me to deploy whenever I want, or you don't give me access to the database password. The more people who know about the stuff, the more trouble you will get. The more trouble we have access, the more people who have access, the more trouble you will get. So here, what's happening is that here my client.
Can you just zoom in and a bit?
So if we zoom in a bit, does it work? Yeah. So we can say it's 403 error forbidden, and my client access is not authorized, and my IP address is this one, and of course it's not the same as the one which was authorized. So there are different ways to authorize it. Let's make something very simple. I'm going to authorize all network temporarily. Save it. And I'm going to run it again. So, of course, in production, you should do something better, but just to show that it's going to work. So
now Terraform is going to pick up that the Key Vault exists, or it's going to update the Key Vault, but it has access now to the Key Vault to even check, does it exist and can it?
Oh, yes. My issue wasn't even updating it. It couldn't even read it. It didn't have any access to it. It did not even know if there was something there. So now I've opened up the firewall to everyone. So here it is. So this time Terraform is going to run. It's going to have access to it. So this time it's going to work. However, what Terraform does, you remember what we had before. What Terraform does is that it secures everything. So it's going to shut down everything again. So as soon as this script passes, this one, it will be green, but it will shut down again. So when I will refresh here, we won't have access to everyone again. So it's like here we've got a temporary access to the network, but very temporary. Let's wait a bit. It's going to be pretty fast because it's just a small, you can see modifying the Terraform configuration, the Key Vault configuration. So it's going to do this. Yeah, post-job cleanup, it's already done normally. So if I refresh now.
So it connected, it could access the resource now in the VNet. And then it went in and whitelisted your IP address again to say only that IP address needs to come through.
Yeah. This can be improved in many different ways. It depends on what you want to do. Here, I'm doing something, let's say it's a proof of concept to explain to people how it works. Maybe you're not using GitHub Actions. Maybe you use Jenkins and you know your IP address, so you're only whitelist your IP address of your server. There are many ways to do this, depending on your specific situation. But what is important to see here is that it's so much secured with VNets that even myself, I don't have access to my Key Vault anymore. And what I need to do is to have a process to whitelist my IP address, but only whitelist it temporarily. I mean, I don't need to have access all the time. So here I've got temporary access, so I can run my deployment, and then it's closed down again, and I don't have access anymore again. So what we have here is a process that is much more secure than what we used to have last week, where only the database, only the application has got access to the database. I don't have access at any time. And access to Key Vault is only very temporarily, because, I mean, I don't need to have access to that all the time. And the network security is far stronger than any other kind of Key Vault or security keys or anything. It is like totally locked. I don't even, I can't even ping it. So it's far more secure than what we had. And if we recap compared to, the bug we had last week, now, so the hacker can't have access to anything. Can't access your database, can't steal your password. If it steals your password, well, you can rotate it and secure everything again, but very, very hard to do anything with.
But you still have Key Vault. So now you've got double protection. Yeah. So you've got your Key Vault, which is storing your secrets, and then it's behind two firewalls. You've got your database firewall, and you've also got your application firewall, and then you've got your multi-factor authentication. So you can actually set up your mobile device to actually go in and authenticate your Azure login. So you've got multiple onion layers in Zero Trust.
Yeah, what I forgot to say here. So of course you can also have like temporary access and so on. But just here I'm going. I did that through the Azure portal, but yeah, it's my Microsoft account. You can see it's my real corporate account. I can only access it through multi-factor authentication, with my phone, with Face ID, with my iPhone, and so on. So it's
and biometrics. So one of the things about Zero Trust is that you have to have 3 levels. So one is it needs to prove you are who you are, so biometrics and face. 2, it needs to prove that you have your mobile device, like a physical token. And 3,
sorry, I don't hear you.
Sorry, I bumped my special mute mouse. So yeah, there's 3 different levels just to actually get in there. And then you've got VNet, and then you've got Key Vault, and also obviously somewhere down the line there's a database password there. But you don't need to know it anymore because you've got your devices.
But I never type my Microsoft password anymore. Or maybe I could log out just to show people. And it's Microsoft stuff.
I personally don't know my Microsoft password.
I never use it anymore. Because if I want to log in, I click here, and now it's going to, sorry, it's my Microsoft.
But your laptop itself, remember your laptop yourself has authorization. It's got a Windows hello pin in it.
It's because that's the reason why I use Safari on the Mac, by the way, because it's working automatically. If I was using Edge, I think it would be, or Chrome, I think it would have asked my my device. It's like automatic, and it's like, I don't type my password anymore. Yeah, and I'm logged in also with my Mac using biometric stuff. So, well, I use it with my watch, in fact.
What? Really?
Yeah. So I need to unlock my watch with my phone, and when the watch is unlocked, it can unlock the Mac if it's on the same network. It's through Wi-Fi. Not Bluetooth.
You need to give an applause sound effect for that, Julian, because that's a pretty impressive. You've probably got Zero Trust all the way through to that. So you can trust. I can trust you with my or Zero Trust you with my Azure details.
And sorry, there was one last thing I wanted to talk also about VNets, because we started to talk about VNet for security, but there's another good reason to use VNets also. Well, it's also security. One thing we didn't talk about is, you can see here I've got my private DNS zone. I'm doing some weird stuff here. So what's happening is, if I don't have a VNet, when my database connect to my when my application connect to my database, it goes through the internet, which means that it could be routed through anywhere. It could access any database through it's just reaching an IP address. So maybe your network traffic goes through the internet. If you configure VNet, then your network traffic, you will be guaranteed that you will go through the Microsoft network. And that gives you two advantages. So first of all, it's more secured, of course, it doesn't go anywhere, but also it's probably more performant because it's our own network, and we control everything. So you will have more security and more performance if you use a VNet than if you don't use one. So that's also one good reason to use a VNet. So by the way,
the private DNS zone, when you did the demo with Noobgen, it sets it up all for you. It's not something that you had to do post-configure.
Oh yeah, that's all done by Noobgen, so you don't need to have anything about that. So don't stress too much. And if you create it through the portal, it's pretty easy. You just need to click a little bit everywhere, but nothing to be afraid of. My main concern about it is that it costs a little bit more money, but it's very, very light. If we compare to what we had last week, basically the biggest issues with VNet is that sometimes it forces you to buy a higher tier of some services. For PostgreSQL here, I'm using PostgreSQL Flexible, one new option. You have access to VNet on all tiers, so you don't pay more. We used to pay more, but not anymore. For app services, you need to be on a standard tier, I think. At least, I mean, on a not the most basic tier, but we've got some new offer arriving, typically Azure Container Apps, where you will have VNets even at the lower tiers. So basically, VNets are mostly free. I mean, you will have access to them for all tiers, or at least for production level tiers. And well, here we're doing production, so it should be pretty free. And you need to have a DNS sorry, what's the name? It's a DNS zone, and for this you pay a little bit. So it's a little bit more costly to have all of this set up. It's like a few euros, and probably not that much more. And as you can see, you've got much better security and also better performance. So I would advise everyone to do that. The main cost of this is not money, it's complexity. As you can see, it's more complex to set this up. But if you use Noobgen, it's not that hard. If you use the portal, it's okay. And it's just worth it. I mean, you saw last week how we got hacked. You can have something with no issue at all. And for, let's say, a little bit more effort, it's totally worth it. By the way, if you want very high security, on Azure, we've got this thing called so it used to be called Security Center. Now it's Microsoft Defender for Cloud.
I use that every day, Microsoft Defender for Cloud. It actually pings me and says, anytime I create a new service, it actually says to me, this is your score for your new service. Please go in and do these certain features to get a high score.
It is so you need to pay for this. I mean, if you use something like Noobgen, our goal is to have perfect score, so you can trust us. So you don't need to pay.
You don't have a perfect score. I see your score there.
But my score is not perfect. Oh, that's why I use it all the time, because it helps me improve. I don't have a perfect score, so you've got different compliance levels. For PCI DSS or ISO 27001, and you can see my score is not perfect. So if you click on this, it's going to tell me what I did wrong. Usually, I'm pretty bad for my blob storage because I don't put VNets everywhere. But very interesting to have a look at this. You see, it's putting in red what is good.
There, I saw there. Just go up a little bit, and you'll see one of the features there.
Oh yeah,
secure cloud services with network controls.
Oh yeah, perfect.
We sold the idea of VNets, and you need to go in and put VNets for your blob storage.
Exactly. So here my issue is that my blob storage, those blob storage. Let's take this one for example. This one is for I'm doing Azure functions, and my function is stored inside the blob storage. Nobody should have access to that function. It's my code. Only my function should have access to the code. So I should put that in a VNet so that nobody can have a look at it. I didn't do it because I was lazy at the time. I did that a few years ago when I started at Microsoft. So I did not know about VNets. I was lazy. And what I did is done very good. So I should improve here. So that's why Microsoft Defender for Cloud is very interesting, because it gives you hints on what you need to improve. And that's one which is more interesting for everyone here. Oh, hang on. Let me take this one. When you use Terraform, because I'm using Terraform all the time, Terraform stores its state into a blob. And my blob here is not secured inside the VNet. So that's what everybody does in Terraform. I don't find it very well. I'm going to improve that and put inside the VNet. It's going to be to make my Terraform deployment a bit more complicated, but it's going to, well, secure it and also give me regulatory compliance. By the way, I'm doing this for security, but also a lot of people do this just for regulatory compliance. You know, they're like, you're in a big bank, they ask you to be PCI DSS compliant, that kind of thing. Well, here, thanks to Azure, well, you can have a full check, full audit telling you, okay, what you did is correct, you're PCI DSS compliant, or, well, you're not. So here is the issue, and here is what you should do. Oh, I hope it's not the keyword we were using. No, it's another one. I don't know which one is this, but anyway, here I've got a keyword which has got some issue. So it's telling me what the issue is. Oh, sorry. Click too quickly.
You haven't put that behind the VNet. It mentions in network security.
Yeah, and so it's telling me what I need to do, the level of issue. Sorry, I can't find it anymore. Where is it was here. Hang on. I've got Azure Cosmos DB. Another very good idea. My Cosmos. Oh yes, yeah. That's a test I'm doing for something else. So this one is behind the firewall, so it's not happy. So it's telling me, okay, you got that issue. You're not compliant. To do Java, it's not good. And it's telling you what you can do. Well, usually it tells you what you can do to fix it. And here, remediation step. Here it is. So it's telling me, go there, click A, and do this to fix it. And it tells you, well, 30 minutes is, depending on, if you just click a run in the portal, it's 30 minutes. If you want to do it cleanly with Terraform, it's probably a bit more. But then it's automated, so it won't appear again. But that's very interesting. It gives you the importance of the issue, tell you the time you need, what you need to do. Very useful. And again, it's for your security, but it's also for compliance. And a lot of companies are very interested by compliance. And that's where Azure is really, really good at. Help you have a strong level of security and compliance so that your government is happy, that your data is safe inside Azure.
Maybe Julian?
Yes.
Do you want to mention how they can get started with the material that we do? We're 40 minutes in, and so we've just dropped there the Cloud Skills Challenge. So we have 30 people already who are following us on the Cloud Skills Challenge, who have taken from week 1 to week 2. And who have finished 30 people. And we're going to give them a few more days to actually complete that Cloud Skills Challenge. And then once that happens, we're going to give them a GitHub voucher. And I've got my hoodie already coming through to me with the GitHub voucher that I managed to wangle from our marketing team, though. So I'm very keen to get more people aligned to that Cloud Skills Challenge.
Yeah, so if you follow the Cloud Skills Challenge, you can have a look at the Key Vault Learn module that I wrote. So it's exactly what we did on the first week. This is specific to Java. So if you're a Java developer, it's using a Spring Boot starter to connect to Key Vault. So it's pretty easy. If you don't use Spring Boot, by the way, it uses underneath our Azure SDK, so you can use it without Spring Boot. It's just easier with Spring Boot, so I hope you're using Spring. I'm a Spring guy, so that's why I'm advocating for Spring. But if you don't like Spring, you can still code everything manually. It's honestly not that hard. And so if you do that Learn module in about, 30 minutes, you will basically know everything that I know about Key Vault, and you will have something much more secured. And it's oriented for Java developers. So we're Java developers, so that's exactly what you should do. If you want to have a look at VNets, we've got a lot more documentation on VNets on Azure, but it's far more generic. It's not about Java. Like anybody should be interested into VNets. So if you go to Microsoft Learn, you will have lots of information about VNets. And if you are afraid of VNets, and you probably are because nobody likes CIDR notation, again, 3 ways to do it. If you do the command line, the defaults are quite good. So not that hard with the command line. If you go here through the portal, same thing. It's really not that hard. It's helping you all the time to create stuff. So And if you want to automate everything, you can have a look at NewGen. So we generate. So currently we only generate it for Terraform. We've got Bicep in preview. So VNet is only available for Terraform at the moment. We will do Bicep a little bit later. It's honestly much more complex for us to generate stuff when there is a VNet, because we need to put everything inside the VNet and have some, let's say, logical values, and also to have some let's say limitations. Like, so exactly the limits that we had just before. So here, if you select like Key Vault, VNet, and GitOps, so here you can deploy everything in one click. That's perfect. But then the next time you will run your GitOps action, well, as the VNet will be secured, your GitOps action won't have access to it anymore. So
like what we saw before. Exactly. And then, well, you can just, well, not that you should hack it and just go allow all access if you're testing in your inner loop.
So that's some part that I need to maybe document a bit more in NewGen and maybe explain a bit more or automate a bit more. It's a bit confusing for some people that it's so secure that it becomes hard to use, but that's the goal. I mean, if it's too easy, I mean, it means you didn't secure it really. So there's a fine line between having something which is easy to use and something which is secured. And we're trying to have the best of both worlds, but it's not totally easy. But again, if you want to have a look at my configuration, well, you can here generate your own configuration, or you can go here to that URL where there is my sample code from this demo. It's exactly the same thing I generated like two days ago. If I go to the branch,
can you put that in the pop-up, and then they can go access that and just check the application.
I'm putting in the chat for Rebecca if she can copy paste it for everyone. And here, if you want to have a look at the code, it's in Terraform, you can see test with NewGen, and didn't do anything, then just generate it, and it worked out of the box. So
this is very impressive, Julian. I remember the Log4Shell issue that came out, and not only have you showed how to mitigate it with Key Vault, but you've also shown how to use VNet, Key Vault in VNet, and go through the zero trust approach. The only biggest problem is that I trust you, and maybe I need to move past that. Though you are my manager, but so you might have been hacked with your database passwords. So if we can just also recommend to people to go to the Cloud Skills Challenge and complete it. I managed to actually complete that Cloud Skills Challenge in under 2 hours, which was a great opportunity for me to win another free hoodie. But apparently, I don't have that opportunity to get 2 free hoodies.
I think we're pretty good on the demo and on the explanation. I know, well, I mean, the initial goal is that we finish at 45 minutes. We're at 43 minutes. We're nearly at the right time. To have time to answer questions, do we have any questions? Or does anybody want to chat with us now?
Yeah, so if you look at the chat, I starred them. So you should be able to see those.
Sorry, I'm totally lost. Oh, sorry. Okay, lots of questions. Okay, I didn't see all the questions. Sorry, everyone. So hello to everybody saying hello. I didn't see you were saying hello, so hello back. There's Randy saying separation logically and keep DB apart. I'm guessing that what Randy means is if we have the database like in like totally different environments, and like here it's in the same resource group inside Azure. Well, that's, I mean, if you keep it totally apart, like if you put it outside of Azure, you won't have a VNet.
But you could use a private link, so you can have a private link from your on-premise VNet into the Azure VNet via private link.
Yeah, totally doable. More complicated, but totally doable. Yeah. Okay, I've got someone who said he got totally stuck. Well, please ping us if you're totally stuck with the managed secrets. Please ping us. We'll have a look, because you just say you stuck, but no stack trace or anything. Please ping us, send us a stack trace or something, and we'll have a look. My Java app did not get the connection info for Postgres from Key Vault. Oh, sorry. One thing you can do is have a look inside Key Vault. Oh, hang on, because my screen is still being shared. Because one thing which is surprising with Key Vault, well, that's because it's secured. If I go here to secrets, I can't see my own secrets because it's secured. But of course, I mean, if you don't get your database password from Key Vault, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. You're not authorized. So what you need to go is to go to access policies and add an access policy for yourself. Oh, sorry. I'm not used to have such a small screen.
You're giving yourself access again.
No, access policy, it's here. Hang on, that's new. What is that? Secret permissions, select all. Oh, it wasn't like this before. The screen changed. I mean,
Julian, you know
last week.
The rule of demos. You live demo on the day, they're going to push something through.
But if you have a look at the demo from last week, it wasn't like this. Or maybe because the screen is small, maybe it adapted to my small screen. So anyway, so I gave secrets permission to myself. Yeah, adding the access. You can see that 2 apps have got access. So Azure CLI, it's my CLI. So when I for example, when GitHub Actions runs, that's it. GitHub Actions uses the Azure CLI. That's GitHub Actions, in fact. That's my application. So that's how the application server has got access to the Key Vault. And now as a user, that's me. I've got access to it. So if you go to the secret, I can have a look here. No, I should have access to it. Why don't I have it? Hang on. Should be turned. It's turned. Oh, sorry. And firewall is turned on. Okay, I've got also the firewall issue. So much security. You don't have this for the closed skill challenge. You don't have you don't have the firewall. Yeah. Now I gave myself access also with the firewall. And now if I go there, if I refresh, come on, I should have access.
It's going to take a few seconds.
Oh, no, list is not enabled. Oh, I didn't give myself. Hang on. Oh, maybe I didn't save. I don't see myself again. Hang on. So permission, select all. Okay. Select principal myself. Select, add. So maybe I didn't save.
Save, yeah, you didn't click save.
Yeah, I think I forgot to save. Yeah, and now I can have a look at them. I can have a look at, let's have a look at the username, not the password. And here you can click and you can show the secret value here. And that's my password.
You are going to delete this afterwards, so just so people.
It's just the login. The login is good. But yeah, we'll delete it anyway. So, well, you can have a look like it's more complicated than before, but I mean, that's security. And also, well, ideally, there would have been like several people, and I would have asked like, Rory, please give me access, and you would have given me access. And you can have like temporary access also, time limited access to something. Yeah, more complicated, but that's the whole idea. Let's look at the next. Does this process cover the big CVSS vulnerability for Java? The criticals, I mean. So CVSS, I guess you mean CVE, like all the big, all the usual library issues you can have in Java. Well, I mean, you can't cover everything because who knows what issues you have. I remember some time ago there was a big one in Java. I don't know if you remember that one, Rory. You would send a specific number, and that would cause the JVM to crash.
Yeah, so do you remember the SSL issue that they had? Yeah, so and that if you ran any JVM, and I think that was about 4 years ago, all the routers here are running those libraries. So so this isn't really going to solve all of that. But if you're behind the VNet, you can't access those security vulnerabilities to actually get to worry about those libraries. That being said, you should upgrade your libraries. And you should use a JDK that has, like the Microsoft Open JDK, that has the security patches that are brought out and supported.
Yeah, for all Java issues. So here I'm using App Service for Java. So you've got a JDK managed and patched by Microsoft. Everything is managed by Microsoft. So as soon as we got an issue like this, well, probably we know it before you. We're part of the CV thing, so probably we know it like 2 weeks before you, and we patch it before it's public. And so when the issue will be made public, it's already patched for you, and you didn't do anything. So that's one very, very, very good reason to use App Service and Java on Azure instead of rolling your own stuff. Just saying. and you can't really do the same as us. I mean, we've got resources, and I think we spend more than 1 billion every year on security on Azure, and we've got 3,500 people working on this. So we've got also some, let's say, some specific connection with the security people. So, well, don't try to do this. Just let us do this for you. But then, of course, you can't fix everything. So 2 things. First of all, what we did here is trying to limit everything with VNet and all this. And then, the other thing we didn't discuss is try to have a very good software delivery chain. Like what we didn't do here is that app should have scanning, so of my libraries and of my secrets. And GitHub, which is also part of Microsoft, has got some very good tools for that. So you've got Dependabot, which is going around and telling you, that library is not up to date, and it's giving you updates on your libraries. And you've got, I forgot the name of the library, but there's a library also to check for secrets. So it's going to tell you, you've got a secret, and that's bad. And depending on your, I don't know how it works exactly, but at least for Microsoft, when we got this, as soon as it sees the secret, it cancels it automatically. So everything's blocked. And then you need to update it and secure it. So as soon as it sees the secret, it will automatically disable the secret. Just, good security practice. I can show you Dependabot for those who don't know about it. Hang on. On Gypster, I will have some Dependabot issues. It's like Dependabot is pinging us all the time. So Gypster is another one of my projects. So yeah, I knew we would get this. So Gypster is done with JavaScript. So on JavaScript, you've got security issues all the time, and you've got alerts all the time. And if you go there, so there's a new one. So it's telling you, okay, there's this issue, you need to update. And usually it's giving you a pull request. Yeah, here is a pull request saying, okay, you need to update that dependency. And as it's a pull request, if you did everything cleanly, all your tests are going to run. So you're pretty sure it's currently running. We just got it. You see, it's queued. So that's really a security issue. We just add good example. We got the security issue. What's the time? 1 hour ago. But yeah, probably our
wow. So while you were doing this, it found a vulnerability, and then patched it, and
it's testing it. If everything is successful, we can be sure. I mean, the way Gypster works, we've got some very strong tests. So if everything passes, I'm very sure that this is good. So I can merge it. So I remove the vulnerability at no risk and very little cost. So that's something very, very good to have. But for that, you need to have extremely good CI/CD pipelines to be sure that you're not breaking stuff. If you update libraries with the testing, I mean, you're fixing the bug, but maybe you are introducing some other issues. So you need to have some very, very good CI/CD pipelines. That's part of the game when you want to do modern development.
So Dependabot also could pick up your log4j dependency, because it actually scans your log4j, and I know that the GitHub team actually has that as part of their requirement for the libraries. If you are using the wrong version of log4j and you're using Dependabot, it will scan it and then tell you that you have a vulnerability.
Yeah, it should have told me. It didn't. We could have a look, but maybe I disabled it because. Honestly, for some of my code, I'm a bit annoyed with Dependabot, so I disabled it. Yes, it disabled. That's why I didn't get it. That's bad. You should not do that. No, I'm getting thousands. I mean, I'm doing lots of open source.
You're breaking every rule in the book.
Yeah, don't be like me. You can also put code scanning alerts for quality, and that's also interesting. It's not the same thing as Dependabot, but it can find some bad coding practices, which is also interesting. Let's have a look at the other comments, because time is running. So we got 20. Blah blah blah. I hope I'm not missing anything, because there's lots of questions. I can see J. My application does have access policies. I can see the secrets. Oh, so he's answering what we were just doing. I'm wondering how the Java app connects to Key Vault. I set the environment variables as described in the module. Okay. Oh, so in the learn module, so there are two ways to do that. So that.
Uh-oh. Looks like
I think that we've lost Julian. I think that he clicked on the wrong selection, or he's hacked his system quite successfully. Because
we've got you
there
back.
he is. There he is. We were worried that you put yourself in a VNet there for a second.
No, it's just.
Did you want to reshare your screen?
Yes, I just clicked on the wrong button. I'm terribly sorry.
It's fine. I've done that also before.
Happens to the best of us. Yeah. I was prepared. I was ready to like fill in and
No. It's just me, and I clicked on the right button again. Yeah, there are two ways to do that, and that might be part of the confusion. I mean, you can try both ways. Maybe you will have more luck with one way or the other. If you do like in Nubgen, hang on, I was trying to find it here, but I couldn't find it. So go to Nubgen here. What Nubgen creates. Well, hang on. It's going to be too long. Hang on. Let me go through here to my demo app. Yeah, because that was generated with Nubgen. So here we can see. So what Nubgen does, it's doing a specific configuration here. So that's a specific string you need to put. And it's reading directly my database password from Key Vault. Hang on. Can we show the value? And now the screen is too small. You can see Microsoft Key Vault, secret URI, something. So here we've got a specific key that is generated by Nubgen. Well, just generated with Nubgen, you will have that specific key. And that points to Key Vault. And that's like a magic string that makes Key Vault send you the secret to here's the Spring Data Source password. And now you've got the password in plain text here. So that's probably the easiest way to do, but not the most secured one because it's still inside an environment variable. So we do it by default on Nubgen because it's easier and it works for everyone. In the Learn module, we do it differently. We do two environment variables for the Azure Spring Key Vault starter. So it's a specific Spring Boot starter for Key Vault that Microsoft does, and it's more complicated than that. So this one uses the Azure SDK. So it needs to be authorized. So that's what you do in the Learn module. You give it the access, a little bit like the access I gave myself to Key Vault. So you give access to the SDK to your database password, and the SDK then connects to Key Vault and grabs the key over there. So that's more secure because it doesn't hang around here in an environment variable. It's still somewhere in memory. So someone who is clever can still steal it, but it's more complicated than steal it from an environment variable. So what you do in the Learn module is more complicated. But so in the Learn module, what you do is you give access to Key Vault to your applications, to your application. And once the application has got access to Key Vault, then using the SDK, when you connect to it, and as you've got access, you grab the key, and then the keys are put inside the password. If you go to your application.properties file inside Spring Boot, you will. Oh, maybe I can show. I can show here my Spring Boot, my application.properties file. You will have something different here. It will come from Key Vault, in fact, which is different way to do. I believe which is more secured and also you can do more stuff than just with environment variables. So it's more interesting, but a little bit more complicated to set up. I hope I answered your question because I don't know, of course, all the details on what you do. And I'm having a look at the other questions. Audience was asking, so the demo is just, sorry. Oh, that's a private chat. I've seen people having fun with us, like I test in production. Yeah. Yeah, I hope we answered everyone. Otherwise, just ping us. Oh, you've got our Twitter handle. So Rory's at Rory Preddy. I'm at Julien Dubois. So you can also ping us on Twitter. We'll be happy also to answer questions on Twitter. Or comment on the YouTube video. We will go also to the YouTube video if that's. Well, I mean, just do the one you prefer.
You really, at this session, you really, surprised me with some of those secrets, and I love the idea that you lost control of your key vault and you had to go and recreate it, and that really is zero trust. So, just in summary, Julian, what you showed me is the first session you showed me how to use Key Vault, why it's important for Log4Shell. I even put there Dependabot on how you can show your exposure with Log4j in the channel. And then you showed how to lock it down with VNet, your database inside its own VNet, your app inside its own VNet, and your Key Vault inside its own VNet, though. And we've got all of this with, the basics of it in the Cloud Skills Challenge, and you can win a $60 GitHub voucher, which I'm afraid I can't win again, unfortunately. So final words.
Oh, yeah. Do get the GitHub voucher. That's really good. We did that because it works everywhere in the world. So wherever you live, you will get it. VAT,
I don't know how they manage that because I got free shipping with it. It's just like free international shipping.
I don't know how it works either, but I love it because that's the only shop I know that does this, and it's GitHub, and so we're super happy because it's part of Microsoft. We do it because it's let's say our sister company, but we also do it because honestly, that's the only one I know who does that. So that's really cool. So please grab the hoodies. And please ping us on YouTube, on Twitter if you have any questions or bugs. Oh yeah, if you have bugs also. Yeah, Sanders bugs. I love bugs.
Awesome.
And if you want to do that again, so the code is open source, but also with Nubgen. I don't want to push Nubgen all the time. It's just a generator that should help you have something similar to what I got. I'm trying to make it easier because again, this is far more secure than the default configuration. It's not a lot more costly. The main issue here is the complexity of setting everything up. And so I'm trying to automate it to make it easier for everyone. Honestly, once it's set up, it's all fine. And if you look at the concept, it's not that hard. But yeah, there's some skill to get. And if you can have some tooling to help you, I'm very happy to help you if possible with those. Because it's really worth it. But there's a little effort to learn about all of those.
Amazing. Thank you so much, both of you. This has been fantastic again. Lots of good interaction in the chat. And we even got Tim from Canada to sign up and participate in the challenge today. So very exciting stuff. Jay did have one more question. You can look at that while I quickly do this pitch. I don't know if there's any other info you can share with him to help him on his journey. But if you're not part of the Reactor community, please consider joining us. We're on Meetup. We have 12 physical spaces that will inevitably eventually return to some in-person and hybrid sessions. So if you're nearby, check us out. We have on-demand content on YouTube. Some of it is pre-recorded, but most of it is all of these live sessions for you later on to reference and go back to at a later time. You can find us on Twitter as well, and we post some of our events, some of the bigger things and featured ones up there, and you can ask us questions too. And then we have a monthly newsletter that we send out. We don't spam you. We just once a month, a list of anything we have on the calendar coming up. So if you're interested in just having a blitzed email with any sessions happening in your region, just aka.ms/reactor email sign up. Rory, please check your Twitter.
Yeah. I saw people are sending tweets to. Yeah, please send also tweets to Rory.
That is a good method. Maybe we can get those questions answered there as well if you have any.
And follow Rory so he has more followers and he will be happy.
Thanks, Rebecca. Great. Thanks, Julian.
Thank you all so much.
It's an incredible journey that we showed you, and hopefully we never have to worry about people getting hacked because we've shown them all the mechanisms that they need to do to have zero trust. Thanks, everyone.
Again. Thank you all.
Everyone.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.